Hello, it's Saturday, April 20th, and I was going to do this out where hopefully I was going to be in a little bit of nature, but the weather's pretty bad today, so I thought I'd better do it where I am now, and it's a little echoey, but I hope that'll be okay. Once in a while I like to step back from all the things that go on in the world and just talk about some other more important issues. What we've seen this last week and what's happening around the world, what all the people that are suffering and having their lives taken for no reason, innocent people that are just trying to, make it from day to day, and then they're confronted with these horrible, horrible catastrophes. And, when that happens, they're hurt, and the people that love them are hurt. And really, everyone is hurt. So it's time to talk something that'll feed our spirits a little bit. I'll reserve a couple of other comments at the end, okay? We really do need to heal our spirits, and if we do that on an individual basis, it spills over into those that are around us, and then it can spread. But and some people that are on my channel here are right. You feed yourself all this bad information all the time. It has a tendency to, to propagate itself and get worse. So we really do need to step back once in a while, which is why I'm doing this today, and I try to do it, occasionally. So we have to be aware of our environment and what's going on, the evil in the world. We can't stick our heads in the sand, and God doesn't want you to do that. But at the same time, we have to step back and make sure that we do nourish our spirits. So I'm going to say this, and I've said something similar before, but there's a scripture in the New Testament, and Jesus is talking, and he says, "Because you have done this unto the least one of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me." That's good and bad. It can go both ways. If you do evil to someone else, the least of the people, then you've done it to him. And if you've done something good, you've done it to him. It goes both ways. So what I'm saying is kind of what I've said before. Let's try to make sure that at least once a day we do a random act of kindness. We might be kind to our family and our friends and those types of things, but let's make the extra step to go out and do a random act of kindness. I think that'll feed our spirits and will add some good in the world. Every little bit helps right now, On the other side, Ecclesiastes says something that's really pertinent to our time. And I'm not going to quote the whole scripture, but it says something like this: "There's a time for love, a time for hate, a time of war, and a time of peace." Sometimes we're put in positions that we really can't do much about it. But it's what, again, that's in our heart that matters. Why we do what we do, not so much what. Killing innocent people for an ends justifies the means? No, that's wrong. Killing in self-defense? Save your family's life or whatever? Yes. An armed intruder, an armed army coming after you? That's one thing. But innocent people? It's wrong. And that kind of war is being waged on everyone on the earth. And we saw that this last week. And no, don't let the media fool you, and I know it won't most of you, that these guys acted without any help from somebody else, okay? And we're working on that, okay? People like me have already got a lot of this information out there. There's a lot of hokum out there too, but there's a lot of good, solid evidence, all right? So what am I saying? Don't ever do anything from a point of view of revenge or vengeance, but only as self-defense. And I think that's, Ecclesiastes pretty well would look at it from that point of view. As I've said once before, be as wise as a serpent, as harmless as a dove. Unless, of course, you're confronted with a situation where life is in danger. That scripture that says, when you're struck on the right cheek, turn to them the other also. That's not to your family. That's to your family and friends. It's not to people that are actively trying to take your life or that kind of thing. Insults, those types of things. Okay, try to return good for evil. when you can. But under self-defense, it's an entirely different circumstance. You know, you give them chances. You know, you say, don't do that again. You know, I'm telling you, don't do it again. And then the third time, it's okay to defend yourself. And the people that are causing all this, they've had their 3 warnings. Okay, they've had it. Okay. That's the little spiritual discussion I wanted to do, and I just wanted to bring up a couple of other things because, you know, on my channel, a lot of people, I'm sure they're trolls or people that just disagree with my position, and that's okay. And as I've said before, if they approach me with dignity and some respect and some evidence, you know, I wouldn't give them any trouble, and usually I don't anyway. But, you know, I made that video on, you know, a message to SF people. Now, let me explain why I did that. No, Special Forces people, SEALs, I've worked with them. I know there are a lot of good people in there that are there for the right reason. But let me tell you what happened in Iraq, okay, and in other places around the world. A lot of these guys are, well, they're basically hired by companies such as the former Blackwater, by Halliburton, Kellogg Brown and Root, and a lot of other actual professional contract security services. Okay, in old parlance, they were called mercenaries. All right. Now, not all of them are bad either, but there's a problem here. When you go into the military, you're under a strict, regulated environment. At least you're supposed to be. Of course, there are rogue units there as well. But the point is that the reason for doing it changes, at least in this regard, the money. And remember what I said about Babylon and the money, the whore of all the earth, right? So the money becomes the primary motivator eventually. It's how you buy someone's loyalty, and that's exactly what's happened here. So that's why I address these people in the SF, you know. Make sure that you abide by your oath of office, because that's a sacred. It's almost a faith, it's almost a religion. It's an oath that you take to promise to do that. And it doesn't mean that you can engage in anything of a Machiavellian type, the ends justifies the means, like the murdering of innocent people, the blowing up of an apartment building, killing 200 people to get one supposed guy. That's wrong, that's wrong. It's not right. All right? Or doing these operations once you get into these contract services, okay? And the military didn't like them. It's like I said before, we looked at them with a jaundiced eye because we knew what they were really there for, okay? Not that they wouldn't do their job, but it's a whole different mindset. Once you're there, you might go in with the right idea, but it changes, all right? You feed that wolf when you're there. So that's why I wanted to bring this up just real quick, because no, I don't have anything against SF. They're good people, well trained. You know, it was a Green Beret Special Forces outfit that posted on the internet that they were against the Obama gun control situation and all the attack on civil liberties. So no, I'm very much aware, all right, that there are always two sides to this thing. I'm talking about a specific group, it's a very small group of people, but they wield unbelievable power and influence, and they're covert. They couldn't have pulled this thing off in Boston last week without that kind of a rogue unit, okay? I just got to tell you, that's what it was. I'm not saying that everybody there who was prior SEAL, prior SF, who was working for the contractors that were there, that they were all bad, but somewhere in that group, there were people that knew, and they made sure this thing happened. They got caught, you know, the whole op was blown, and they had to change it. But the fact of the matter is that they were there. They were there, okay? Well, I wanted to stay on spiritual things, so I won't go too far into that. I'm going to talk about that more later. Believe me, there are people working on this, okay? All right. One other thing. I don't want to toot my own horn here. As I've said in one of my other videos, you know, I was an officer. I wasn't outstanding, and I wasn't some, you know, great, you know, leader, really. But I was there, okay? And there are people that are trying to say I wasn't. Now, you know, I don't really care. I don't feel like I need to defend myself. Other than that, you know, sometimes you just do have to say, you know, something. So I'm going to be sending out some packets. Actually, it's just one email to about 3 or 4 influential people. Let's put it that way, who will seek incontrovertible evidence that I am who I say I am. Okay. Again, it's nothing fantastic, but it'll prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have had military experience. And yes, I was a lieutenant colonel. Okay. You know, some of those guys who have tried to say that I wasn't, just because I don't tote you know, the establishment Kool-Aid, that doesn't mean that I'm not serious about my oath, and that you should be too. So when you contact me and you question my credentials, that's legitimate, okay? But don't summarily dismiss what I'm saying. It's like that one guy who wrote in, you know, and I forget exactly which one it was. I've had so many. But, you know, he doubted that I was ever in the Army, or that I was a lieutenant colonel, or any of those things. And, you know, that, oh, I based my information on my research. No, I've been around the world, my friends, okay? I've seen a lot of this. So, anyway, when he said that, you know, I wrote back to him and I said, you know, go look at Geraldo Rivera's story on the poppy seeds in Afghanistan. And his was not the only one. There have been some more recent ones as well. But that was kind of like the eye-opener, okay? So it's out there. The Russian involvement in trying to complain about, you know, that whole thing that the U.S. is doing there. Actually, the CIA, with the help of the military-industrial complex. And other things have happened around the world, and people that are, you know, older than these people that are in the military now, they're aware of a lot of this stuff, okay? All right, well, I've taken too much time, but I just wanted to get that out today. Again, let's feed our spirits as well in our prayers. Pray for, you know, not just our family and friends, but of course for the people who have been victims in all the ways that they have for these terrible things that have happened by powers that be that want to ensure that they continue to get, you know, their power and their money. All right, and we'll talk about that a little more later. All right.